In stats today, we looked at variability and box plots. So we're using this data set you see in the middle of the page for third period, how long it took people to get to school. So if you need to, copy that down. Also, type it into your calculator. So if you're using an Inspire, you go to the home screen and you want to click this spreadsheet here that you see highlighted. So like I'll scroll left. So we want that middle grid at the bottom of the screen. So you click that and notice top left up here, you see a capital A and then a lowercase a. It's because I named it lowercase a. The calculator names them all with capitals here. But you need to name it, give it your own name, and I always name it just A. It's pretty easy to remember if you do that. So type in all that data right here into your calculator. So I'm going to move on, maybe hit pause and get it in there. So here we are, and we press menu. We're trying to get one var stats because we want it to print out mean, median, the 5-number summary for the box plot, maybe even look at a box plot on the calculator. But we press menu, stats, stat calculations, and then one var stats. I leave it as one list. X1 list, that's the name of your list, and I named it A. Don't change anything else. So press the tab button down to OK, and you're good to go. So it outputs all this data. There's our mean. See how it says X bar? That's the symbol we use for mean. Gives you a few other things. We'll talk about standard deviation probably tomorrow. And this is the 5-number summary. We'll need that to make a box plot. Min, Q1, median, Q3, and the max. If you go to a home screen, if you're curious what this looks like, go to the graphs with the bars. So just to the right of the spreadsheet, right there. That's like our statistics graphs, data analysis. Your dots should be floating around. Click the bottom x-axis. You got to use the touchpad for that. And it brings up any variables you've named, and I named A. So now we have a nice dot plot. Then go to menu, plot type, and we can look at a box plot. And notice it shows there's an outlier over on the far right with the dot. You can hit menu, plot properties, and for some reason, if you don't want to see outliers, you can extend the whiskers and it doesn't show outliers. But typically we want to know if there's outliers. You could look at a histogram if you want. We're about to make a box plot though. But to be honest, I rarely even use this function unless I'm just curious about something and I'll look at it. Because in the end, you got to crunch the numbers anyways. So I usually just use these 5 numbers right here and make my box plot. Down here, we found the mean and median yesterday. We are going to move forward and talk about IQR and outliers. So we're on this part of the handout. The IQR, interquartile range, is the middle 50% of your data set. And naturally, that means Q1, the first quartile, is the 25th percentile. That means 25% of the data is less than that number. And Q3 is the 75th percentile. You guys have heard of the median, of course. The median is also called Q2. No one, I mean, it's rare someone calls it Q2, but technically that's the next quartile, and that's the 50th percentile. If you want to check to see if you have any outliers, we have some formulas at the bottom of the screen. But first, let's answer their question right here. What is the range? We don't really need that, by the way, on this problem. And what is the IQR? So range would be 35 minus 3 in this case, so 32 minutes. And the IQR, you saw it just a second ago. Let me pull it back up. I'm going off of these 5 numbers here, and it's Q3 minus Q1 for the IQR. See what's right here? So we're going to go 19 minus 8.5 and get 10.5. And then we got to find out if we have any outliers. But you guys already saw the calculator. It identified an outlier. So down here, it tells you where to find those boundary lines. So we know IQR is 10.5. So for our lower boundary, we're going to go 8.5 minus 1.5 times 10.5, and I believe we get a unrealistic number, unless someone can go back in time or something. I think it's negative 725. So obviously we have no lower outliers because no numbers are less than that. No numbers are negative. For the upper bound, we get 34.75, and if you look at the data set, we do have one number bigger than that. There are no lower outliers because no values are less than negative 7.25, but there is one upper value. $35, because it is greater than 34.75. So barely is it an outlier. All right, so now we're going to make a box plot of it. You have some choices when you make your box plot. You can make a skeletal box plot that for some reason doesn't show outliers if they ask for that. I call a modified box plot the one that does show outliers. That's what your calculator defaults to. And make sure you write the 5-number summary somewhere around your box plot. All right, so this is the 5-number summary. It's part of the labeling of your box plot. Important that it's there. So let's do that. We're going to make a box plot that shows the travel times for 3rd period. So I'm going to go ahead and title it. And we need a number line. This is time. And data ranges from 3 minutes to 35. So I think I'm going to go by 0, or start at 0, go by 5s. And then I can't really make the imaginary lower boundary line. You know, it's way out. Let me change colors. It's way out to the left in the negatives at negative 7.25. So that's not necessarily to scale, but I mean, I guess I'll leave that there. It's there. This is the lower boundary line. You don't have to draw that. The upper is at 34, and also on this one you don't have to draw this boundary line. I personally draw it because it just helps me visualize where the outliers are, and that's at 34.75. But once again, you don't have to have those red dashed lines. For the box plot, I start with the box. So I make a line at Q1. Oh wait, you know what? Let's make our 5-number summary. So you can write it anywhere you want. I'm going to write it up here. Some people label their box plot with it. I like to write it off to the side. And you don't even have to label it. It's agreed upon that those are the min, Q1, median, Q3, and max. All right, so Q1 is about right here. You draw a vertical line. Draw a vertical line for Q3. About there. And make a box out of it. Then draw a vertical line for the median. This value, this line, does not have to be in the center. I would say most of the time it's not centered. You draw a whisker, look up at the top, right up here. You draw whiskers to the lowest and largest non-outliers. So I'm going to draw a line to 3 because 3 was not an outlier. Now this part's tricky because we do have an outlier at 35. Let's go ahead and make a dot there. I need to draw a line to the largest non-outlier, and I believe that was 20. So this is important. It shows you that in this space here, there was no data. It's important that you draw it like that. Some people make the mistake and they draw a line all the way to the dotted line, but there's no data there, so you can't draw a line there. And that's it. All right, I would like you guys to practice with this one. So clear your calculator, type that into a spreadsheet for Barry Bonds. This is home runs that he hit when he was a Major League Baseball player. Some of these are questionable because it was later revealed that he did some steroids. But I'll show you my box plot, but first you practice, and yes, show outliers. So I'm going to hit pause, and in a minute, the box plot's suddenly going to be there. All right, there is the box plot for Barry Bonds and his home runs. Notice 5-number summary top left. I checked for outliers. There were no outliers. You know, this number was almost an outlier, but not quite. And that was it. So hopefully it all made sense and you have a good box plot just like that one. Number scale might be different, but for the most part, it should look the same. Please show work. Show that much, please. All right. All right. I will see y'all later. Bye.